from the broadcaster sphere or position. I think it's coming. Now we open another screen. So you see, Fernando, there is no way out. We open another screen, and now it seems to coming out. Do you see, Fernando? Do you see YouTube or?
I am trying it. Just a moment.
Yanis is writing. 1 second, because there's a lot of going on, because it's new for everyone. So it's okay. It is okay that we don't get the grip, because this is in a way a live experience or test.
It now I can see on YouTube. Yes.
You can see on YouTube. Here, Zeno is writing.
Hello.
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear you.
yes.
I can hear. Yes, it is coming. It is coming. Yes. If Fernando is writing, very good. So we have now 2 screens. And the change, Fernando, that you are asking about is the following: not to bring so much text, because most of it was Hebrew, sometimes Zohar, Kol Zohar, and sometimes we brought paintings, art pieces from books, and maybe there was too much load on people. Also to prepare, it was not a little, let's say, work. And through this summer and through writing of poems, I understood that we can also continue having those conversations, deep sessions, but without the so much load in the front. And we gain 2 things. There's less load, that because usually what happens when there's a screen with text and painting, we are trying to catch, the eyes are trying to catch everything. There's like tense or tension, and we try to decrease the tension. And while decreasing the tension, also it's a natural mode. We can go inside, we feel safe, and we can still have those conversations, but without the threat or the split of what the eyes do when they see a screen and text and letters and numbers, and everything is and running and moving all over the place. So this is just to open up the season, the semester. What is on your mind, Fernando?
Um, uh, it is difficult to make it current, but as as I just said, the times are shifting a lot, and I think what is on my heart and mind, usually we have some ecological disasters around here, with many people that lost her homes and things like that. And my mindset now is like oriented to uh, about being grateful for the day, to observe the day and also to follow the spirit. I think that this time of the year and the season uh, brings some reflections to make our corrections, to bring like purity to the heart and goodness. So I'm with this kind of feeling.
That's correct.
We are heading to Tishrei. That is a new creation. So
Yes, it is. It is definitely a new creation. A new year of light is waiting to enter our lives, with new ventures, with new ideas, with new sorts of dreams and anticipation for something which is unknown at the moment. And there is, like you say, I feel it specifically this summer, to listen to every moment that we are alive, to be present at the moment, to listen to the moment. I think that also writing poetry is a consequence of being and listening to the moment, and to notice how miraculous and the fact that we are even here. We are little beings placed here in space and time, and we have relationships among each other. We can speak about layers that usually people do not share in their lives, in the first, second, and third surroundings. So I'm very grateful for all of this, for this miracle, because what comes out as a noise from the media is that everything is not nice, and everything is catastrophic, and also, but there is very little appreciation for goodness, for the miracle, for the spirit. And I would like to celebrate the existence of the spirit with you. But this is a very interesting notion and motion, because we can experience the existence or the presence of the spirit when we are with ourselves, because usually when we are with other people and they are covered with all kinds of layers inside of them, they bring a lot of dust into the atmosphere, and the dust or the struggle or the dust of the struggle is like hiding the mirror of the spirit. So I noticed that the best thing that we can do is just to go inside and find peace inside, and from this nest inside of ourselves we can write and create, because this is true. This is a true place, the silent place inside of us. But most of our activity during the day is, in a way, is sometimes out, and we are, let's say, in the world, we're doing all kinds of things because, let's say, it's necessities, but don't forget to return to the temple. This is also what I try to tell myself. We're doing things outside, necessities, but don't forget the temple, don't forget to return the temple. By the way, about the windows of the temple, the windows that King Solomon built to the temple, the first temple, were special. In what way? They could radiate the light of the menorah outside of the temple. The windows could radiate, broadcast, let's say, the light that came from the menorah, from the temple, outside to the outskirts of the temple, to the rest of the world. But the window had a second function. They blocked every kind of radiance that came from the world to the temple. In a way, the windows of the temple, this is not just external window that used to exist 3,000 years before our times. We also can operate this window, meaning to illuminate the light of the temple outside. But a Gevurah part, an overcoming, is not to radiate the confusion in the world and the dust and the darkness into the temple. So to radiate, to take out the light to the world, but to block the darkness that comes from the world to the temple.
Beautiful lady. I'm not sure, but I can remember that the window from the north, there was no window in the north side, right? In the
Yes,
judgment,
yes,
I think.
yes, there is no window. Because there is no
In
returning.
Geburah.
Yes, because there is no returning light from the north. I mean, if we look at the, how do you say, the light comes in the east at the dawn, and then zenith, high noon is south, and evening is west. So the north is the night, and there is no light coming from the night. So there was no window because there's no need to reflect darkness. So it's embedded code. The fact that there is no window in the north, it means there is no light. So because it's darkness. Good morning, good morning, Eniola. How do you do?
Good morning, Etty. Good morning, friends. I am very well, thank you. My internet signal is not so great today, but I'm trying to follow along. Happy to be with you all and to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Fernando, any questions on your heart or thoughts that you'd like to share?
See, if you could, I, I, I really appreciate what you just said, and I was thinking about the north side as Geburah and as worldliness, maybe like
Yes,
that,
yes, this is it.
and that we are overwhelmed day by day by news and all sorts of things. But about the symbol of the menorah, that is, I can remember that Isaac Luria makes a analogy with the human face, right? With the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the ears. The ears as like uh, the seven aspects of the human
Yes, yes,
as a menorah.
yes,
And
indeed.
I'm wondering if you could expand a little bit about this, how to light this inner menorah, how to make it clean and to, you know.
Yes, those are the seven modes of being inside, meaning without going now to gematria levels and the meaning of the numbers, because it also have a mathematical structure. It means that the seven lanes of the menorah are inside of us, meaning the eyes, we are using our eyes to look inside. We are using our ears to listen what comes from the inside. Our nostrils are receiving fragrance or scents, smells that are coming from the inside, and most importantly, our mouth, Malchut Derosh, the heavenly kingdom in the head, speaks the truth, Lashon HaKodesh, the holy tongue, not just in terms of Hebrew, but truth. Because when all the windows or the openings of the human face are turning inside to the inner eyes, to the inner ears, to the inner nostrils, we also have the capability to speak the truth, because the truth is a seal. The speech is a seal of what is happening inside in higher levels of ourselves. This is the inner meaning of the menorah. Because what people usually do, they look outside, let's say vitrina, they go to a shop or they shop on the internet, they see out and they want what is there out. And this is in a way the worldliness. The exercise is in a way to close our eyes and to see what comes to the eyes of the spirit, that they see inside, not outside. So it is like in a way to live in darkness. This is what the temple, the windows of the temple, they were sealed to the light that comes from the outside. So this is quite interesting because our notion is to go for the light. If there's sun out and everybody's out, 8 o'clock in the morning, people are running into offices, schools, everybody's rushing out like horses. This is the time. There's light. Go for it. This is, and we're starting to behave mechanically because everybody does. Everybody's on the road. Everybody's on the way. And the mechanical is a very tempting mode in ourselves because it's like automatic pilot. We don't need to do anything. It just goes by itself. But once we let it rest, or slowly we decrease the quantities of mechanical, then comes the silence, and with the silence comes an open space. In the beginning, people are really afraid from the silence. They'd rather, I had this experience visiting a friend, not just that TV is open while people are visiting. In every room there is a TV. In every room there is a computer. Each one has a cell phone. And there's music in the background, babies shouting, and no one turns to another person. This is the definition of hell. The thing is, when we start decreasing those addiction, and this is addiction, that everything is broadcasting, doesn't matter if it's true or false, there's a noise broadcasting in the living room, another noise is broadcasting from the radio or WhatsApp group. Once we start first we detect and we take, let's say, initiation to decrease the streams of noises around ourselves in all dimensions, not just digital, but also in the surroundings of choosing friends. Silence comes with it. And usually we are afraid from this silence because there is no life? What, is everything dead? Not moving, not calling, not tweeting. It's kind of scary at the beginning, but after getting used to it or understanding that this is the real mode of life without pushing lies 24/7, we discover that we wish to create something. Why do we wish to create something? Because we feel silence. And when we circle ourselves or surround ourselves with silence, suddenly the inner voice inside of ourselves feels safe to speak, to be heard. And when we lend our ear to this inner voice, and we follow it day by day, hour by hour, poem by poem, idea by idea, letter to letter, new life is coming. But in the beginning it's really scary because we all the time identify ourselves with what we do. For example, I can give an example. We were broadcasting teaching every day. The last 2 years, I think it was like broadcasting on YouTube with a whiteboard, and almost every day. And something is changing and it doesn't fit anymore. Not the concept, not the fact that it is broadcast every day. It feels not accurate, it feels out of key. So there is a need to change. But how to change and in which direction to turn, this is one thing. But an interesting question comes, but what am I if I'm not the one who broadcasts every day? This is quite a... And then maybe, because if you do this every day for 2 years, this is what you do, and it's a definition, or this is a suit of yours that you're wearing. And then, okay, so now we're moving from this. So first of all, I have to recognize that this is maybe what I did, but it's time to move on and slowly to fade to another phase. This is what's between me and myself. And then, I mean, those who listen or those who are coming to class also have to receive this signal. In the beginning, it's like, what? It used to be so intensive for years. Morning podcast, making everyday almost podcast, everyday podcast and everyday lesson, whether it's broadcast on YouTube or not. But this was the beat of the last 4 years, except of emails and posts and other ways to create connections between people. So in the beginning it's like a shock, Fernando, no?
Yes. It is interesting what you are speaking about, this changing, and just I was thinking about the studies and the podcast, and so I made I made a conversation about Abraham, and now I was thinking about making on Isaac, but I'm not sure if it will gonna have. But I was thinking about Isaac, and I was thinking about the sacrifice of Isaac, and it is interesting what you are speaking, that you passed like 4 years giving classes almost every day and teaching about the Zohar, sages and all. And now you are changing the way, you are trying to find the way to stream the spirit, let's say. And I was thinking about the sacrifice of Isaac as something like this, like something that is very dear to us, because it's the archetype. It's the only son of Sarai and of Sarah and Abraham, from this couple, and the call from God is to sacrifice the only son, the only child, the promise that is the Isaac. And Abraham goes to make the sacrifice on Mount Moriah, but in the exact moment that the sacrifice would occur, it is saved by God. It is like something occurs. A sacrifice did occur, but not a killing. It is not. Something remains. Something occurs, but something remains. The son still alive. The name of God in the name of Isaac still alive, but it is different. It is not the same anymore. But the sacrifice, that is the attitude of oneself to make the sacrifice, the disposal to open the hands and to make it. It was done. I don't know if it makes sense to you, Eti, but I was thinking about this because sometimes we build things for many, many, many years. Sometimes it's all our life that we are working through something, but from time to time it seems that a sacrifice is needed. A call for a sacrifice is listen. I don't know if make any sense to you, but I'm just sharing what came to my mind this last week, and and this process of transformation is kind of a sacrifice.
Trying to think, and what comes to me is that when we thought this is the way to do things, and I don't know if it's sacrifice, but this is the way we perceived to reach out for people who interest in this inner teaching. Yes, Andres says that I should increase my voice, that it will be heard. This is what we thought. And now, when we look back, we can see it was 4 years. At the beginning, we did not know. I don't know if it's sacrifice. Maybe, I don't know, to put together. Because life, or the daily life, just pours ourselves to infinite parts. And as if to use the word sacrifice, I don't know, but korban in Hebrew is to put together, lekarev, to put closer. So it was intense work to put things together. To put things together, lekarev, what seems to be very far or not connected with the right attitude or the right perspective, it makes sense. And it was something that fits. And like this implication to Abraham, it's not your son that I need your son. This is because I need your son as sacrifice. Of course not. It's just, I would say, what we call sacrifice is basically put together the nefesh parts, because the nefesh, the lower parts, is always like, this is the tendency that goes to separation or to gravity. So put those things together and align them, we can reach to another level, which is Ruach, or spirit. So if you want to see it in this way, yes. I think one of our lessons, I brought a grail or silver decoration from Poland, and it was like a silver grail or silver picture on which the binding of Isaac was printed. And Felipe participated in this lesson, and he says, because you could see Abraham takes the knife and takes Isaac, and from the bushes, from the trees, there was the Ail, the ram. So Felipe says that God's intention was to put the nefesh things together. The ram is the animated part in us, the animal part. So, because in many dimensions we're like animals, we're drinking, we're sleeping, we're multiplying like animals. But put those things together and bind this animal inside of you, that you will see that you are not just animal, but something higher. And this is it. And I'm very happy that I can speak to you now without a whiteboard. Uh, There's no happier than me, I have to tell you. Because we can speak on the same things, but without the need to conquer the continent of the white page. We don't need to bring armies, commanders, texts, paintings to the continent to conquer it. It's inside anyway. So I'm very happy for this moment, very much happy. And Fernando, I would like to compliment you for your podcast about Abraham. I was listening to it a few times. Hello, Kevin. And you said something beautiful, that unlike Oedipus, Abraham does not kill his father, but he goes with his wife Sarai and Lot. Even his father, they leave Augustine. He doesn't kill him. It just integrates him. And a few moments before this class or this conversation started, I wrote a poem about it. I was inspired that because Abraham did not act like Oedipus, and that he killed his father, and Abraham did not act like Philip of Macedon, Alexander Macedon, that conquered many territories or many continents. He was walking with the one, with the goodness, with the one. So I was very moved by a podcast, and I was listening to it a few times, even today a few times, and then the poem came by from listening. Today it was very chaotic outside. There are preparations for Rosh Hashanah, so it's like before Christmas, everything is like a beautiful big mess. And it was nice to listen to your podcast, to your conversation in this chaos. So thank you. Hello, Felipe, can you hear us?
Shalom, Eti, Fernando, and Yola. Nice to be here with you. Nice to hear you.
Shalom.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Felipe. How do you do this morning?
I'm fine, Eti. I'm very excited. I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to see the new ways things are coming to you and for us as well. And I'm happy and glad and honored to be part of it, certainly.
Thank you. So we were thinking about what to do, because there is no white page and there's no text or painting or me moving between the letters, and what shall we do? And Andra came with this idea that he was seeing last night, like paintings or drawings, and then you can apply a sound coming, so you can see on YouTube, if you have a screen, that there is a sound coming when you speak. It comes from the side, in a way, of the ocean, and when the snail speaks, it comes from here. So we have a sense of something is going on, which is the sound from both directions, but it's on a nice calming card, so it still moves, and the sound in a way is an actor. The sounds act.
Yes, I saw
Quite
the
beautiful.
You see, when you speak,
Beautiful.
it's next to, you see the waves
Yes.
are coming from you.
next to the fish. Yeah.
This is what Andra said every time he comes here. Says, speak to the mic, that they will be able to see the sound coming from the snail. Speak loud, because when I meditate, I go very much inside. to speak from the inner of inner because I don't look constantly on the screen. I mean, inside I go. So he comes and smiles at me, smile and speak to the mic that they will be able to hear you. So this is it.
And it is
Yes.
beautiful, Eti, because it is the image of the divers, you know, like the divers that are under the water trying to find and trying to communicate. So, of course, the water represents the Yesod and the secret. And Eti, I was thinking also that it's a beautiful coincidence. I'm sure that you had thought about it because the preparation of Rosh Hashanah is I think that the last days, from what Lude speaks, was the days of cows, the days of the kings of Edom, representatively, and I think that today is the day of Adam, is the day of the human. So, and I don't know if it starts today or in the next days is the day of Adam. I'm not sure what day exactly is, but it is a new creation, like we said before.
Yes. There's a lot of parallel things are happening in nature because we could ask why Rosh Hashanah is celebrated now, let's say from the North Hemisphere perspective, this is autumn, or when the days first they get even with the night. I mean, we have almost similar hours of light to hours of darkness, but when we go with the days, when we move, the hours of dark are getting longer all the time. And in the beginning, this is the story of the Garden of Eden. In the beginning, Adam thought that he is like God, and then there was like he is expelled from the Garden of Eden, and there all the story is accompanied by darkness because the days are getting short and the nights are getting longer. This is why the story is told in the autumn, so to speak. Andre is asking to speak close to the microphone. Yes, Andre, yes, Andre. Yes, so I was once listening to a professor saying, "Oh, I don't understand why here people are celebrating Rosh Hashanah in the autumn when the days are getting shorter, when the leaves are falling from the trees. There is no logic in it," she said. "Man should celebrate the beginning of the year in the spring, when sun goes out, when everything is blooming and, let's say, how do you say, comes out as beauty, the buds, everything is very colorful. What logic does it have to celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the autumn when everything is being concise down?" Try to tell a person that there's let's say, modes before man himself on earth. You can't. With a lot of opinion, we should celebrate Rosh Hashanah in the spring. And I said, okay, there is a celebration of freedom in the spring, because first we try to, let's say, exhibit the logic, because first there's the first scene, there's expulsion from the Garden of Eden, this is autumn, and then there's darkness of winter, and this is, so to speak, people go to exile, and there's coming from exile in spring. This is the salvation, the light, the blooming, the reason. But you cannot speak to a professor. Can't. They just can't. Their opinion is the king. This is it. It's interesting that, Fernando, you mentioned the story of the kings of Edom shortly before Rosh Hashanah. It also fits the atmosphere of nature, because when the leaves, they are falling, what, there's no sound coming?
It's okay.
Yes? Sound is coming?
YouTube seems spiky.
YouTube is spiky, so Yes,
It is perfect.
it is
We can
perfect.
listen to you.
Yes.
Yes.
So it also, this is the atmosphere which is happening outside, because when the leaves are falling, first they are yellow, and then they're, let's say, orange, and then they're red, and then I think in Europe and North America you can see beautiful autumn coloration. In Europe and America it's more, how do you say, comes as colorful autumn. But you can see how Malchei Edom, the kings of Edom, and Edom is Adom, red, and you can see this reflecting in nature as well. This is not just a story. It's not for nothing that Luria connects those things together. And just to say one thing, because we usually, when we read the text, we're attached to the words which are written in the Siddur, in the Zohar, in the Bible, wherever we read the Midrash and so. But noticing this summer, when I did not touch almost the text, I just was sitting writing what comes from the inside, and every day I wrote what comes, what the day brings. And the days, or poetry, is writing itself. The days are strings, and the days are writing and poeting themselves. When we listen to them, this is what they do. We don't need to do anything. And unlike what we taught all the time, that okay, we always need to pure and clean and to make a new space for new things to come. This is one thing. But one of the poems brought a beautiful notion that a new year is standing. A new year is standing. A year is a feminine, as a queen. Year of light is waiting to enter our room, to enter our space. So this year came just from listening, not the rabbinical, Fernando, judgmental, you should clean yourself, you sinner, and of course this is gravity, we are subordinate to the law of gravity and so. But new theme came. The year is a queen, Shana. Year is a queen, Malka, like the Shabbat, but in a scale of the year. And the days that are composing the year are the psalms, are the songs. Each day is a poem. Each day is a song. Each day is a year, is a song, yes, a song, a poet, and a string. So the year is composed of 355 strings. And this is a completely different notion from, so to speak, the rabbinical. And this is the first time I say this like loud and clear. Because if we are looking only through the lens of religion, there's like certain coloration that comes with it, because who wrote it, when he wrote the text, to what he had to relate in the time that he was writing it, because those Kabbalistic writings are in a connection to what happened. Let's say the Book of Zohar, the real one that was written in the 12th and 13th century in Europe, in West Europe, was a comment to the Crusaders. You know, people left Europe with a call of the Pope to take the Holy Land from the hands of the Muslims. And the Crusaders, they went from Europe through the Rhine, from Germany to France and to the Mediterranean, and slaughter, so to speak, the unbelievers. There was a bloodshed all over Europe. And the comment for this behavior was the writing of the book of Zohar. So to speak, so far we learned the commentaries from the book of Zohar about the weekly portion, and yet later the tikkunim, the corrections, and then Zohar Chadash. All those 3 layers of the Zohar were written in different times in history, and each one was commenting, because whenever there's explosion of writing the Zohar, something terrible is happening in terms of history or the news of the day. So those were comments, because you could not act out. What could you take a horse and ride like a knight with your armor to the Holy Land? This is external doing, mechanical on a horse on 4. They were going inside and creating all of those beautiful worlds inside. This is a choice. And also the rest, Zohar Chadash and Tikkunei Zohar as well. They were written on a certain background. Also Luria was working or expressing himself on a certain historical background. After the deportation from Spain, after 1,000 years of Codex Justiniani, 1,000 years of darkness, Christianity, not because of Christianity, but what the Justinianus Kaiser made from what he thought religion is. So everything we can look in a certain historical context. Also Weinreb. Weinreb was pushed to the wall after he crossed the Holocaust in the concentration camp. The Dutch, authorities put him in jail 3 years in accusation of cooperating with the Nazis. So they put him in a jail with no access to other human beings at all. 3 years. He had only pencil and a white page. No relation to humans or to civilization whatsoever. And then an idea came into his head that the Hebrew letters are just demonstrating a mathematical structure. And the more he was thinking deeply with this idea, he came up, he could see through the Hebrew text. And the more he could see mathematical patterns through the Hebrew text, the more he was writing. And this is the only thing that they let him in jail. White page, paper, and a pencil. And this is what he did in the 3 years of being in prison, without ability to see any human or civilization. He couldn't see anything or do anything but this. So I would like us to appreciate, and to myself as well, this writing and this ability to be exposed to his ideas. Because a person who is like commuting every day on a train or on his car and just take a Starbucks coffee and just spends the weekends with friends cannot reach this level of, let's say, going into infinity. This is what he did. And somehow, without even knowing, I came across this book and Weinreb through my studies. I didn't know that this is the path that I'm going to go through. In retrospective, through Eniola's questions, I understood, but in the beginning I didn't know. Because whenever in our lives we move from one door to the other, or one world to another world, or one step to another step, there is a gap and we are not certain. Yes, because the former world or the former appearance is not working anymore, but the future appearance is not there yet, so we feel like walking on thin thread, but the new world is waiting for us. We just need to trust. And when I left Israel and I went to Germany, I didn't know that this is it. This is the direction. Because I thought, okay, I go for study and I go for life. I had no idea that this is what I will meet, and later that we shall broadcast this and try to teach this perspective. This is a person with his back to the... He could not do anything. This is in a way a non-linear answer to your question, Fernando. The fact that Frederick Weinreb could not do anything but to sit with a white page and write for 3 years, you can look at it as a binding of Isaac. This is the only thing he could do. He could not do anything. So you can call it sacrifice, in Hebrew korban, and korban, as we learn according to the book of Zohar, is to put the letters together, lekarev et haotiyot, to put the letters together. And this is what he did. And all the rest of his books is just, how do you say, recording of his voice that were dubbed and put into page. I mean, the roots of the Bible he wrote with intention in the jail. It was written originally in Dutch. Then later it was translated to English and then to other languages as well. This is his Isaac. You could look at it, Fernando, maybe in this lens. I don't think that Frederick Weinreb chose to sit in prison, in the Dutch prison, for 3 years after being in concentration camp. This is not what a person is yearning for or wish for. He is a right vessel to speak the truth, so he speaks the truth. Today, interestingly, I received my book back. I lent my book to a person, and today I received it back, Weinreb's book, before Rosh Hashanah. My second
That's wonderful, Eddie.
Thank you, Kevin. How do you do, Kevin?
I'm well. Just wanted to just share that I was listening and that was wonderful, and I'm well. Thank you.
The more you listen inside of yourselves, or all of us, ourselves, the better. There are two kinds of listening. There's a crap listening. There's like chaos going on. This, when you hear in your head conflict, he said, she said, I could have, I should have. This is crap. This is not even existing. This is the frog inside. Yeah? But when we go inside and listen, this is a pure gold. More than this, much more than this. Just trust. Any questions?
I was just going. I was thinking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I was just listening to what you're saying, and just as you kind of did a survey of your experiences over the last few years, and you know, there's no whiteboard and and these things, and it's interesting because for me, it's there's this kind of season where it has been this great, like I so would enjoy spending time in the scriptures and reading Weinreb and playing with the letters, and it is like there's no act, like though my heart is just cold there, my access is like read with your son, play with your daughter, you know. It's family, it's washing the dishes, it's these little things, and you know, that I used to not even, you know, I remember years ago I would not even, there was no worship in even those actions, those daily actions, or those daily moments. But now, you know, it seems as if he's like, you know, yes, you're excited. Like I hear in my heart, you know, yes, you're excited of what when you're listening to, you know, reading books or listening to these other people's experiences, and you're hearing and you're receiving from it too. But you can do it even just in the moment with the individuals of your family, and the different, what you think are mundane activities are full of overwhelming amounts of joy and insight and revelation and nuggets. And if you would just, you know, allow yourself to open yourself up to it, and it's such an interesting and different resistance. You know, I remember being in a place where I had to force myself to pick up a book, you know, and now it's like I have to force myself not to pick up a book. You know, and now we're going through these different seasons. I just wanted to relate and in a different way to some of the things you were sharing.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, Fernando.
Oh, it is beautiful what Kevin just shared, and it makes me remember a story from the Hasidim, a little quote from the Hasidim, from the tales from Martin Buber speaks that a sage was speaking, Kevin, like that in the days of the temple, the difference between the days of the temple and now, and he speaks that now is better than the days of the temple because we can find God everywhere. Before we needed to go to the temple, and you are speaking that you can find joy and you can find grace in little actions that before for you wasn't sacred, but now it is. I feel quite the same, you know, like before I had a lot of things to do to find a connection with divinity, you know, but you can find connection with God in little things, and this is beautiful, and makes me think about this quote from the Hasidic, you know, tradition that is not a historical event, it is our inner event, you know. When the temple falls, we can find God everywhere.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Fernando. You just reminded me of what Felipe once said, that after the first temple was destroyed, it was, let's say, 1000 before Christ, and around 500. I mean, 500. No, the temple was established in 1000 before Christ. It held few hundreds of years, and then it was destroyed. But the moment it was destroyed, in a way, the center was destroyed, all over the world, centers or nests of wisdom came to be. It was in Greece by Socrates. It was in China, and it was also, there was the teaching of the Buddha, and all of those centers came and popped at the same time. When the first temple was destroyed, suddenly other temples or other sources of wisdom came up or pop up all over the world, in Greece, in India, and then in China. Confucius in China, and so in Buddha, and so. And like you say, it's a parallel thing. In a way, God is not in the temple, but He is all over the place. And Felipe says maybe this is the cause why the temple had to be destroyed, that the wisdom could distribute.
It's similar to like the concept that you hear of like a breaking of a vessel. Like it seems like there's like this container, you know, and depending on the perspective and the paradigm, you know, sometimes it needs to be shattered, and sometimes it needs to be remolded.
You reminded me of a blessing that we bless when holidays, or people bless when holidays are coming, that about the times they ask the blessing about Israel and the times. Mekadesh, sanctify. Israel is the tree of life. Vehazmanim, and the times. When the word times, zmanim, is 147, this is the distance between the light, which is 207, and the vessel, kli, which is 60. So, again, the distance between the light and the vessel is times.
Mm.
Do you think that the sun is crying? Have you heard once the concept of the sun crying tears, and the tears of the sun are the seed of the wheat, which are seeded in the autumn, in order that in June we could harvest the wheat and make a bread out of it? Have you heard this story before?
I've heard it. I've heard it in different ways, but it's familiar.
Yes.
Please share.
In the autumn, this is a story. In the autumn, the sun is crying, and her tears are falling into the ground as the seed of wheat. Have you seen once the seed of wheat is like a golden seed, and her tears
Yeah.
are being soaked in the ground, and then the rains are coming, the rains of the winter, and around spring the wheat is coming, and in June, in the time of the, let's say, celebration of the reading the Ten Commandments or the Pentecost or the Logos, because we have the Ten Commandments, and 9 months after, exactly like the pregnancy of a baby, 9 months after, we can harvest the wheat and make bread out of it and nourish ourselves. And this is, and the seed of the wheat, where did they come from? From the tears of the sun. Please pay attention to this cyclical story. What is a cyclical story or legend tries to tell us? Because just to connect with the Greek mythology, yes, Fernando?
No, I was just thinking that is the reflect light, you know,
Yes,
like
yes.
the concept of reflected light.
Excellent, because Daedalus and Icarus, they could not fly next to the... We cannot fly next to the sun. We cannot get close to the sun, to the divine source. We can't. We will melt like Daedalus and Icarus. But the tears of the sun that touches the ground, and they touch the ground, and then through the rain of the winter, we can receive them later as wheat, as bread, and then we can digest this only as drops. This is...
It reminds me of...
Yes?
I'll wait, go ahead.
Yes, please, I'm listening.
No, it reminds me of the blessing of Jacob. May he give you the dew of the heaven and the fatness of the earth. Or there's probably a better way of saying that, but it's, the earth can produce nothing without the sun.
Yes.
And it reminds me of what you're saying here.
Yes. So we cannot be like the sun, we can't. For us, it's better every year to get a seed that after 9 months will become, we could harvest, and we could make a bread from it, not just the physical bread, but nourishes our mind and soul, but in little quantities that fits our vessel. We cannot digest the sun, this divine logos, as one piece. We can't. Just little drops, the tears of the sun that she's crying, that she's like in a way liquid for us to use in time.
Reminds me of also when you're making your dough, you sprinkle onto it, and then you have to form it.
True, there is a preparation that when you make a dough or a bread, when you make a cookies or a bread, don't put everything, the whole dough in the oven for bread, but you pinch it, put it aside, and you put it also in the oven, but not as a part of the major bread. To take and pinch it, they call it Eve bread. That we shall not think that we are like as huge as God, but we pinch it, we pinch the dough, we put the bread that we prepared on a pan or on a tray, but next to it we put a little ball that we pinch, and this is we don't eat. It just say to remember that we are little. We're not this big thing, the big bread, but to remember that we are little. Maybe we are baking bread, but it's not about us, because remember that be little. This is how it is. When usually people bake here, challah, the challah bread, they call it hafrashat challah, hafrashat, to take out the challah, meaning to make a little bowl, tiny bowl, put it aside. You put it in the oven, you bake it but it's not. You remember that we are little. So, dear friends, it was so nice to return to our conversation. I'm very happy to share this moment with you, and I like the concept. It's very relaxed and containing at the same time, less stressful, I believe, for all of us, because it also fits the times and who we are at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shalom, shalom, and see you on Thursday. And Shana Tova.
Thank you.
Shana Tova. Thank you for
Shana
being here.
Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana
Thank you.
Tova.
Thank you so much. See you soon. Thank you so much.